One of the businesses that Robinhood's in that I don't know, I'm having trouble kind of wrapping my head around is the prediction markets business. It's new, it's kind of early days. You put some interesting numbers around it. You mentioned like based on the volume of trading recently that if you assumed they were getting like a cent per contract, it was like a $250 million business today. And then, you talked about in the future, you could see a kind of a prediction market volume of like $50 billion just kind of for the market. Could that be like a major revenue source for them in the future?
Now, if you look at sports betting, that's been a big boost to trade volumes in prediction markets. There are like a lot of advantages to what they do. There are some regulatory, shall we say, questions around the business, and that has to all be ironed out. But as we stand today, prediction markets feel like they're here to stay. You're seeing the traditional players come into them. So CME, for example, which is the big exchange where a lot of derivatives get traded on, they are partnering with FanDuel to build a market there. We saw another company, it's called ICE. They own the New York Stock Exchange. They took a big stake in a company called Polymarket to also build that. So I do think it probably over time could be bigger than just traditional sports betting because of the incremental sort of markets that it touches.
And so when Robinhood reports earnings, what do you think we'll learn just kind of about where we are in the markets these days?
So remember, we already have a bunch of retail brokers that have already reported, likes of Interactive Brokers and Charles Schwab. So we have a sense of already what the market's like in terms of just retail sentiment. And I think Robinhood probably confirms that on their earnings. You'll probably see growth in products that tell you customers or the retail investor is feeling confident.
What products are those?
So example will be margin lending. So as you remember what margin lending is, you're essentially borrowing money to buy stocks. You don't do that unless you think the markets are going up. Okay. The other product I tend to look at is securities lending, which is ties very well into the IPO market. The bigger the IPO market, the bigger that product tends to be. I think you'll see really strong growth there. And then also just like, again, what we call organic growth, which is just customers bringing assets onto the platform, which for me is probably the most important metric. And I think you'll probably see solid flows there as well. So I think all in, it will probably confirm that we're in a very buoyant market for retail investing.